Thank you very much, Mustafa. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegates, honored guests and friends of rugby. It's a great pleasure and deep appreciation that I welcome you to this significant gathering in Sadia, Morocco. I am a little bit emotive standing here today because it is a part of the world that I do not know, and yet I feel. It is a part of the world which, for the last period, when I met a number of people, but one in particular, my brother Abdul Benazi, he spoke of his passion for this part of the world. And I was thinking we all have somewhere we come from. But the deepness in which he spoke about Sadia and Uja, I wondered whether we would ever meet in this town. And I arrived late last night, and I could feel all that I had been told about this great place of Sadia. So Morocco is my second home, and therefore I welcome you, my friends, my colleagues from Africa, to Sadia. I think the fact that we have at least 23 African federations here, chief executives, we have presidents, and in the world of rugby, we acknowledge the president of the African champions of rugby from Zimbabwe at the moment. Your first match is against Morocco. Is hugely significant. I also wish to extend my special, sincere gratitude to the representatives of the Moroccan government through the Minister of Sport, Mr. Said Berada, for the unwavering support. The eastern region of Morocco, Oriental, and its representative, Mr. Khatib El Hibil, along with the Uja Prefecture for hosting us. We are very grateful. Mr. Mohamed Mbaki, the General Manager of our official partner, the Agency of Development of Orient, has given us huge support. My kid brother, Hisham, I leave it like that. I have so much love and respect for Hisham and for his team. I say thank you. I stand here today representing Rugby Africa, so it is not about me. It's about my colleagues, my Vice President Nasser, and members of my EXCO who cannot be here. That's who I represent. And Rugby Africa has extraordinary staff. It really does. And I'm glad as I look through the crowd today that I can see our RTMs and RDOs. I can see my own little bambino Nicole somewhere. And the great thing when we look in the front row of those who are sitting here today, everybody knows Coralie. So I don't have to mention. She has not got a surname, by the way. She's just called Coralie. But I'm also honored that we have Maha here. Rugby Africa is run by women, very strong women, sometimes a little bit difficult. So it sounds like our wives, I know. And the beautiful thing is Coralie is a Christian and Maha is a Muslim. We are all from the house of Abraham. I know I detract, but I also feel enthused. Yes, the Honorable Minister is correct. I came from Hong Kong to Doha, to London, to Casablanca yesterday. But I'm also aware that we have just ended Ramadan. And the great month of Ramadan should not be underestimated. Even if you are not a Muslim, you must feel the spirit of Allah. and the importance of what it brings to our lives. The unity in this month of sacrifice is huge, and yet it is so much rugby. You pray together. In my office that is run by a lady, at midnight there are prayers. The whole building prays. At 3 a.m. there are prayers. At 4 a.m. they break fast. So even those of us who are not Muslims, we live it and we experience it. We have come out of the month of Ramadan and we praise Allah with our brothers and our sisters of this extraordinary faith of Islam. We have here representatives from World Rugby to show you how seriously we take it. Mr. Jason Lewis from World Rugby is extremely senior. And I was not sure whether he sacrificed coming to Hong Kong to be here or whether it was his obligation to be here first. But I showed him a confidential video last night of his colleagues celebrating in Hong Kong. We are glad to have Jason here along with us. FFR, which really is Africa, you cannot divorce the two, is represented by my own brother, Abdel. I extend things, and I was going to say it at the end, but I'm like a little kid, even though I'm 65 years old. I need that people understand the achievements of Abdul, the fact that not only is he from here, he's also responsible for Tier 1 rugby in World Rugby, and he has now been made the chairman of 6 nations. And I think as a son of Morocco, a son of Africa, that is really quite extraordinary, and it's good to have Abdul here. Expertise from France, the Federation of African School Sports, we salute you, and Olympic Solidarity. Again, the new chair of the IOC is Kirsty Coventry, a lady I would like to call a friend of mine and a friend of Africa. Like the women that I've spoken about, very, very tough indeed. And she is now representing the IOC. So we are represented right the way through. Last year we held our first conference in Kigali, Rwanda, of which we are very grateful for our hosts there in Rwanda. The momentum has built up, and here we are today in Sadia. As we chart a course for the future, we do so with clarity and with purpose. We have launched a new strategic plan with well-defined objectives. Its success, implementation, requires a fresh approach, one that is centered on collaboration, consultation, engagement, and shared commitments. We're not here to simply talk. We're here to define clear, actionable recommendations that will drive real change. One of the cornerstones of our strategy is the development of school rugby, a fundamental pillar in expanding the sport's reach and impact. In this endeavor, we are honored to collaborate with the Federation of African School Sports, whose shared visions align perfectly with our goals. This seminar marks the beginning of the crucial conversation on school rugby, which will extend into discussions on university rugby and Olympic pathway. Timing is everything. This seminar is strategically placed as we prepare for several major milestones in Africa. 1, the first ever African Schools Games in Algeria, August this year. 2, the African Youth Games in Angola in December this year. 3, the Youth Olympic Games in Senegal in November 2026. And lastly, the University Rugby Sevens International Championships in Stellenbosch in 2026. The next 2 years present unprecedented opportunities for African rugby. This seminar is about seizing them together. Over the next 2 days, we will draft a collective action plan that will serve as a springboard for the future of our sport on this continent. You'll notice that I mentioned collaboration to begin with. It is critical. For us to grow, I think Africa, we talk about north, west, south, east, in any order. I just came from Hong Kong, and in between the discussions and the arguments, I raised the hat of arrogance every so often to explain that the best athletes in the world are from Africa. And then the theme that came through was that, okay, we need to teach us all how to fish and not to give us the fish. I supported that. I supported the fact that we need to look at a new world which is not a one world view. That we need to look at the world collaboratively and understand that in the north, we have France. Maybe the first to develop a youth system. The under-20s for France for the last 5 years have been like watching a movie. Great young players have come through the ranks and are now playing for the French national team, which, as we know, on their day, France can be frightening. I believe before one of the World Cups, our own son Benazi was injured, and how he received, I'm not sure in those days whether it was a quick injection or a slice of orange. We didn't have all the modern technology of food and special physios. The match that he played next was one of the greatest plays of a back row forward in the history of world rugby. So we have seen what France is doing. They could have won the last World Cup. The Springboks won. We've seen what they've done in Six Nations. They should have won every single match. The dominance and strength of the French national team comes from a youth system that we are talking about here today, all the way to the maturity. And the next World Cup in Australia, it's going to be interesting. In the South, we have the South Africans and the Springboks, who continue to develop a system based upon a school system. So everything we are discussing here today, that we discussed in Rwanda, that we'll discuss at the next growth conference, involves the youth, the development, schools, colleges, through to university. And the system in South Africa, in Africa, must be the best. The Honorable Minister mentioned countries like Zimbabwe, like Uganda, like Kenya. It is a development process that will see greatness. So what I'm saying is that this conference is not abstract. It is real. And if all the leaders here today take messages from today, tomorrow will be our real greatness. I've spoken about Sadia, so we thank Sadia. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly delighted that we are here, that I am here today. I am truly energized. But this seminar is not about being present alone. It's about taking action. I expect a lot from each of you and from your federations, not only just over 2 days, but over the months and years ahead. I trust that the federations will prioritize school participation programs, ensuring that rugby becomes a staple in educational institutions across Africa, strengthen partnerships with universities, fostering the next generation of rugby talent and competitive structures, engage actively with the National Olympic Committees, paving the way for increased representation in Olympic Games. We are also targeting specifically governments as well to get involved. The fact that we have got the collaboration with the government here in Morocco, not for the first time, should be an example to all. We've had it in East Africa, in West Africa, in Southern Africa. We do need that partnership between government, Rugby Africa, the unions, the children, the players. It is critical as we move forward. I ask the staff of Rugby Africa to continue with their good work. I'll be asking them to audit the unions as well. We must be fit for purpose. The unions must set a higher standard so that we can also go back internationally to say, this is what we're doing. This is our moment to define the future of African rugby. Let's make the most of it. I wish you a successful and inspiring seminar. Thank you, and I apologize for speaking too long.